let's take a look at CV1 part and its parameters and features and how you're going to program it. But before we get there, there's something else we should discuss here, and that is the record steps function. So in record steps, this is one of our global menu parameter values, and you can select from rhythm, CV1, CV2, or CV1 and CV2. By default, this parameter is going to call up CV1 whenever you turn the power on. In CV1 mode, as we're entering CV1's information in, we will be writing steps into the rhythm. In CV2, no longer will we be writing in CV1, just CV2. And then CV1 and 2 allows us to be in either of the CV modes and be writing note information into that rhythm part. So let's give that a try. Let's start with our backing beat here. We got some snares there. Let's go ahead and get some hi-hats. So I'm going to tap in a new CV value using the plus key on the steps I like. Let's say I want a open hat. Maybe I want some rim shot. Now, how CV1 varies from writing to the rhythm part is a couple new different things we can do here. So while we're playing, let's grab our hi-hat value, the closed one, this one. And let's say we want to write that value to all the steps. We're just going to hold down the plus key and hit the tap key, and that turns all of our CV values into that value. Let's go ahead and write some new values in again. Let's go with them. Okay, so now we've got three different values happening in the CV1 part. And let's say we forgot what value it was that closed hi-hat was on. What we can do is we can tap this negative key here to grab the value that's happening at any time in our sequence. So let's try that. And that way we can grab that value, play a fill with it, or start writing some new values with it. Now let's try to get that rim shot. Now let's get that open hat. And that allows us a very fast way to be writing notes, getting values, performing a fill, a lot of different things you can do right there. The other thing we can do is, since we've set up our record steps for CV1, we can actually clear out all the steps for the rhythm without affecting what we've programmed in the CV part. And the way we're going to do that is hold down the negative key and press the tap key. Let's try that. Now we've cleared that out. We're still on the rim shot here. Let's go get our hi-hats again. Maybe we want some other sounds. So it's very similar to writing the rhythm. Enter notes, enter all the notes, get a value, or clear all the rhythm steps out. So that's much faster than entering in notes here and then going back to the rhythm and adding what steps need to play. Although if you do make a mistake, just go ahead and enter the rhythm mode, tap in whatever notes you didn't want to be there, and jump right back to the CV part. All right, so you do have a pattern A and a pattern B, again, both being 1 bar in length or up to 16 steps. Your play modes are identical to the rhythm part. You can play pattern A, pattern B, A followed by B, randomizing between A and B, and then you can evolve and apply the random and phi processes to your CV part. And let's try that. And let's make a more complicated beat here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy what we just created in pattern A and copy it to pattern B, and then apply some changes to that. So I copied my pattern. I'm going to select pattern B to play. And we can see that's the same. Now let's add some variations here. Okay, so we made some variations there. Let's play pattern A again. Jump to B. Now let's play A then B. And the reason why that's not playing is we've got our master loop on, I believe. Let's look here. Let's clear this out. There we go. Now we're hearing 2 bars play. Now let's try that randomizing between the two. And I'm going to remove our backing beat here. Alright, so that adds a little bit of humanization to the patterns we're playing. Let's go ahead and check out the evolve modes. Again, when we enter the evolve mode, pattern A will be loaded into our temporary memory buffer. And our next menu will show us these evolutions. Here's pattern A playing. We can advance to pattern B. And let's see what our new evolution outcomes are like. Now let's go ahead and clear that out. Something I'm thinking about here is let's take a look at what our max value is happening here. I believe it's like 41. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to our CV1 range. And that's CV2. Here's CV1. So I'm going to set that to 42. And what that's going to do is it's going to limit the values evolve process can create. So it's going to keep it all within that 909 drum set range. Let's try that. Let's try evolving. And I can jump forwards or backwards through these evolutions. Let's bring up our backbeat. And if you apply this in more of a DJ technique, then you can alternate between patterns, throw one in for a little bit, and then jump back to where you were. And again, anytime you are at an evolution point that you like, you are free to copy and paste that to one of the patterns. Again, let's say we are evolving and want to paste that in pattern A. Let's go ahead and do that now. So there's B. Let's go find a new pattern. So while I'm holding that down, if I want to copy it to pattern A, I'm going to hit switch A or the negative key, like that. And let's keep evolving. Let's find another pattern we like. We'll copy that to pattern B. So let's say I like that and want to copy that to B. I'm going to press the plus key and then press the tab key. And now let's go ahead and reload our pattern A. So that's the first pattern we copied. And there's the second one we just did. Now let's evolve using those two patterns. So it's almost kind of like Evolve just created an entire bank of preset patterns for us now that we can use based on our input we gave it. And similar to the rhythm part, we could automate this process instead of manually bumping it. Let's go ahead and turn our regen up to, let's do 8 bars of that. Let's go back here and watch our patterns evolve. And you'll notice now that we've limited our CV range that those top values will not be accessed above 42. All right, that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and clear our regen value out of there. And let's take a look at how we can apply randomify process to that same CV part. So again, our pattern A is loaded. We can enter this mode and now produce a random value. Then by hitting the tab key, it brings us back to the pattern A that's originally programmed in. Now if we hit the plus key, we'll be applying the phi process to those CV1 values. Let's try some other variations. The interesting thing about phi versus randomization, although you don't know what the outcome will be, the main thing to keep in mind is when you apply a mathematical number to existing values, it retains the quality of your pattern in that steps that are carrying the same value will advance to a new value, but they will all be the same, versus other steps that may be a different value. If they are all the same to one another, they will move to a new value. And so it keeps your rhythm aspect and timing, it retains that relationship, but it moves everything basically to a different instrument. And again, if there's something that we hear that we like while we're holding down the button, we could copy that back to our pattern A or B locations. There, I'm going to copy that to pattern B. Let's say I want to copy that to pattern A. Reload that. Now I'm going to go back to the evolve mode here, and I'm going to evolve between those patterns I just copied. Let's go ahead and set our playback to CV1. Now let's go ahead and write everything to closed hi-hat. Now let's copy and paste that pattern from A to B. So here's B, and let's pick up a I'm going to go ahead and play B. So there we've thrown in the next sample above our closed hi-hat. Now what we're going to do here, let's play that randomized first. But now let's go to evolve and see what happens. So what we're doing is we're moving one value on certain steps, so let's evolve that. There we hear our pattern B. Now let's do a next evolution. It's selecting a different sample on those steps we changed. We can move forwards or backwards. Now let's go ahead and make a different change here. Let's pick a snare drum and enter that into our steps. I'm going to do that. Now let's go back up here to our evolve and reload that. So now we have two different items moving. Here we are in CV1 pattern A mode. We're playing this, and we've got all the same sample written there. There's one other thing I forgot to show you about how you can edit steps. So what we can do is we can tap this button, the get value, at any time. And while we're holding that down, we can adjust this value and adjust it to any other value. So let's say I grab that one. So if you make a mistake anywhere, you can just tap when that occurs and then edit that value. Another thing that might be interesting is let's set that loop point for something really short here. Let's go down to, let's say, 3 steps and start our playback. So now we're only playing 1 of 3 steps. Let's grab one of those steps and edit it live. do something with Hans here. That's just another interesting way that you can manipulate these patterns and actually be controlling individual steps